I'm willing to do a bunch of things I don't want to do. Like, I don't have to want to do something or like to do it. Like, I've removed that as a requirement, and that's where a lot of us are stuck. For us to work out, we have to feel like it. We have to want to.
Yeah.
For us to read that book, we're gonna have to feel like it. Like, oh, I have to be engaged. I have to be ready to sit down and listen to that. Instead, we watch Netflix, right?
Allan has started and grown several multi-million-dollar businesses. His mission is to help you do the same. Welcome to the Business Growth Pod, building the future one entrepreneur at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Business Growth Pod. I'm your host, Allan Draper. I'm so excited to welcome back to the show, Jeff Fenster. Jeff was actually on the show just a couple of months ago, and make sure to check that episode out. We're going to add to it. That's episode 133 that dropped on July 12th of this year. Just a reminder, Jeff is an award-winning entrepreneur, best-selling author, and he's an expert in relationship capital. His entrepreneurial success is vast, ranging from a quick-serve restaurant chain, payroll and HR company, digital marketing agency, and a construction company. But no matter what Jeff pursues, he lives by the principle of putting people first. He was named a top 100 entrepreneur in America under the age of 35 and a top 40 executive under 40 by the Business Journal and a top entrepreneur to follow for 2022. Welcome back to the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. It's an absolute honor and privilege. Big fan of you and your show, so it's even cooler when I get to come back and do it again. So thank you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate hearing that coming from a guy like you that is so accomplished, yet you have this knack for just recognizing people, surrounding yourself with really good people. I know quite a few people in one of your smaller circles, but it's not just that. It's you always seem to be on the outlook for how you can help people, even in small ways, which I think is really cool. We talked a lot about that, about building kind of this relationship capital with people in the first episode. And I kind of wanted to get into your 5 core values and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to rattle them off real quick.
Okay.
Number 1, make friends. 2, have fun. 3, take immediate and decisive action. 4, Kaizen. 5, be change ready. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So we talked about make friends, have fun a little bit. And can we do kind of a brief overview of those and then spend the bulk of the time talking about 3, 4, 5?
Absolutely. I think success is formulaic, and we use the word core values a lot. Companies have their core values, but they treat them more as aspirations instead of who you are and as a roadmap. And I use it as a formula. 2 + 2 is 4. So if I have 2 widgets and I add 2 more, I have 4 widgets. Well, if I want 4 widgets and I have 2, I know I need to find 2 more. If success is what I want, and again, success is personal, but let's treat it in the business setting because that's more entrepreneurial, what we're talking about here, but it applies to everything. If I want to be successful in my company, my organization, or my mission, how am I going to do that? I'm going to follow my 5 core values, my 5 success principles. By making friends and having fun, what I'm doing is I'm not only creating a vibe, a culture around me, I'm enjoying what I do, which means I'm going to put my absolute best into it because I'm having fun. And by making friends, I'm surrounding myself with like-minded, great people who are going to add value to me, and I'm going to add value to them. And as we do that, you attract the right humans, the right opportunities, because people want to do things for you. And my friends call it Fenster luck. But what it is it's just about creating a system of circumstances that bode well for me and my venture. So I make friends with the right humans. I'm always leading with value. I may not know how you're going to help me one day, and you may never help me. But if I add value to your life and I add a little bit of extra something of me to you, you're going to think of me in a positive way. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I call it in my book, making a deposit. I want to make a deposit with you, Allan. So when you're going through the world and living your life, you come across somebody who says, hey, I'm looking at franchising an acai bowl shop. You're like, oh, you should talk to Jeff. He's got Everbowl. Oh, I'm talking to so-and-so and they want to build a retail store. Oh, you should talk to Jeff. He has WeBuild for construction. Oh, I need a speaker for my stage. Oh, you should talk to Jeff. And I didn't ask you to do those things. nor did I insinuate that you should do those things, but because I've led with value with you, you're more likely to think of me in a positive way. And so when the world connects an opportunity that you think fits for me, humans want to give back to people who help them. So I'm creating this abundance of people doing good favors for me because I start by doing a good favor for them. So that's really the make friends and have fun at the highest level. And so in business, it creates a lot of opportunity down the track. But the other three are very, very specific. Taking immediate decisive action, number 3. So many great ideas and so many, what I'll say is not just big ideas like businesses, but even inside of your business, like an initiative or an objective or a strategy or implementation of something new. We sit there and we think about it, and then the next day happens and we never do it. But if you just take immediate decisive action and you do it now, so much more progress happens and so much learning happens, where sometimes you don't actually end up going all the way through with that idea because you find out it wasn't the right idea, but it leads you to the next idea, which was the right idea. And so by being complacent and living in this, staying in this position of uncertainty or hemming and hawing and not sure what to do, that's where failure lives. And that's where people don't get in shape because they put it off to tomorrow. I don't feel like it. That's where they don't ask out the boy or the girl or make that phone call to the friend and reconnect, or they don't put their resume up on and apply for that job because they're like, I don't think I'm the right fit, or maybe I am, or I'm not sure it's good enough. Just do it. Just do it. Take immediate decisive action. And from there, the next steps will start to show themselves. And that plays right into number 4, which is Kaizen, the idea of getting 1% better every day. So often we don't do things because we don't feel like we're ready. I'll tell you, I speak on a lot of stages, and when I first started out, I never felt ready. I was always like, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. And I wasn't. I was not as good then as I am today. And I'm not as good today as I will be in a year from today. And that's true of you as a podcast host. That's true of me as a podcast guest, or me and my show. What it is it's the continuous improvement of getting 1% better every day. And if you continue to do that, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I'll use a workout analogy, but if I want to go run a 5K, jog a race, and I've never run before, I probably can't do it today. And if I set an unrealistic target of I want to do it by Friday, it's probably not going to happen. But if I get out there and today I put on my gym clothes and I watch Netflix, I can do that. And if tomorrow I put on my gym clothes and I walk or run to my mailbox, I can do that. And the next day I put on my gym clothes and I walk or run to the next door neighbor's mailbox, I can do that. And as I do that every single day, and I continuously get one mailbox further, or 1% better, over the course of time, eventually I'm going to be at a 5K. And that's true in all things, whether you're learning a new language, whether you're learning a new skill, whether you're polishing up your speaking capabilities, your content writing, your social media. I just launched my own podcast. It's a few episodes in, and through that, I launched my first YouTube channel. And awesome. I'm cherishing every new subscriber. As of as of us recording this, I'm at like 470 subscribers. That's very awesome. Small number, but I'm excited because I'm just like, hey, tomorrow, can I get 4 new subscribers? Like, that's my goal. It's not 1,000. If I get 1,000, I'll cheer. I'll be happy. But can I get 4? And that's an obtainable goal. Can we create content to help bring 4 new humans over to the Jeff Fenster channel, right? And if we do that tomorrow and we keep getting 1% better, in 5 years from today, I might have 1 million subscribers. Okay. Or I might not, but I'm going to be continuously improving. And that's the next piece. And then the 5th one is change ready. And this is where a lot of businesses die, because we achieve a level of success. We hit that milestone of, hey, you know what? We were onto something. It's working. I love what I'm doing. And then we don't want to change. We want to stay doing what we've been doing. The problem is the only thing that is true is change. Times change. We age. People's parameters change. Competitors learn from you. Industries change. And the best example of this is Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster had complete control over the movie industry, and then the internet came, the digital era came, and they chose not to adapt and pivot. They weren't change ready, and they died, and Netflix came. And we know so many companies like this. And if you look back to all your favorites, very few companies can last the test of time, because they fail to adapt, pivot, and change. And so as you're moving through your initiatives, whatever those goals are, whatever those targets you're aiming towards, if you make friends, if you have fun, if you take immediate decisive action, and then you Kaizen your way to success. And then once you've reached success, you always have the perspective of, I'm willing to reinvent myself. I'm willing to change and adapt. The person I was yesterday is not equipped to survive in tomorrow's world. Tomorrow's world needs a new version of me, and I need to be willing to change. And so if you use those principles, success will happen. And I always say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Where we kind of feel like we fail is because we put an arbitrary deadline on it, like next Friday, 2 weeks from today, I need to make $1 million next month. That's hard to do if you don't have it set up. But if you want to be a millionaire, you can become a millionaire if you follow a success formula. So you should define your own. If you don't have one you like, use mine until you create your own.
Yeah, I love it, man. So many thoughts, like at each level. Let's start at number 5 and kind of work backward a little bit. I think it's interesting that you mentioned Blockbuster. I was in college working for a video rental store like a year or two before Netflix happened. A lot of people don't know with Netflix that they went to Blockbuster and pitched their idea and just got ultimately shut down because of exactly what you were talking about. They were not change ready. And it's just funny how times change. I'm from Oregon. I grew up in Oregon, and there's still one, fun fact, there's still one Blockbuster that exists, and it's in Bend, Oregon, but it's more of a, people like to go there just because it's the last Blockbuster in this sad story. But it's interesting because I was just talking with somebody about how the most successful people, they don't just allow or accept change, they embrace it and they love it. And I think it's because when things change, whether it's the economy, whether it's with a product, we were talking about AI specifically, when things change, it immediately creates this opportunity for growth. It creates this niche where you can jump in. So that's awesome. You talked about, sorry, go ahead.
Before you leave it though, I'll just add that the reason people fear change is because they don't have a formula to thrive again. They feel like I got this and I can't repeat it, so I don't want to do it again. I almost feel lucky to have done it the first time. But when you realize how you got there, you can do it again. And if you just reapply the principles, if I'm Blockbuster and Netflix comes and we're digitizing and I have all this brick and mortar all around the country, all around the world, and there's this upstart, I either acquire them or I don't. But let's say I don't. Well, okay, you know what? We need to figure out how to digitize our business. So let's start making friends with the right organizations and groups to digitize. Who can we attract to come onto the team to digitize all of our library of videos and create this? I mean, most people may not remember, but Netflix actually started by mailing out DVDs. It wasn't digital at first.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you sent them back. That was when they went to Blockbuster and tried to get them to buy them.
Exactly.
But through that process, by making friends and having fun, Blockbuster could have recruited the right talent to bring them into the digital era. And then they could have Kaizen taken immediate action and started it because they should have. Then they could have Kaizen their way through it. And then today it would probably still be Blockbuster, not Netflix, because it was such a household name. Everybody knew what Blockbuster was.
You talked about Kaizen and applying it to this idea of getting to the point where you're working out regularly, moving your body regularly. And I read a book once that talked about how you have to clear the path when you have new objectives. And in this book, it used the same analogy. And the author was suggesting that when you want to start a workout routine, a lot of times people they'll go to the gym, they'll go hard, haven't been for 6 months, a year, or ever. They'll go hard for an hour and a half. Then they'll be sore and it'll be tough for them to get back. And he's like, if you want to start a new routine, go to the gym. Do not allow yourself to be there for more than a couple of minutes. People are like, dude, I'm going to go to the gym. It's going to take me 15 minutes to get there. I have to get dressed. It's like, absolutely not. The first time you go to the gym, you go for 2 minutes. You walk on the treadmill for 2 minutes. Then the next day you go through that same routine again. You go for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. You work your way up. And I think there's a lot of power in that concept, Jeff.
Well, there is, because you're win stacking, right? And that's the next piece. We fall off because we haven't built a formula. Like right now, I'm doing a personal exercise challenge. A friend of mine challenged me to work out. It's a certain heart rate and it's cumulative. So I have to have a minimum heart rate for over 20 minutes a day. And we wear a tracker so he can see each other. And It's not 20 minutes total. It's 20 minutes cumulative. So it could take me 24 minutes. It could take me 32 minutes. It's based on how aggressive I get my heart rate up to this level. And I'm on day 81. And I can tell you, there's been so many days that I've not wanted to do this. Now at day 81, I'm pretty confident I'm going to do day 82. Like nothing's going to stop me. But those first 30, 40 days as I was building that habit, to that whole point, I needed to see the wins. I needed to win stack my way there. My wife had to force me to do it. Literally, she's like, go do it. And I didn't want to. Like, I'm just tired. My body, come on. I mean, it's 28 straight days. I'm exhausted, right? And I'm going through the same issues everyone goes through. My brain is telling me all the reasons I shouldn't do it. I didn't feel up to it. Oh, no one's going to know. You know what? I did 28 days. That was really good. I was starting to pat myself on the back for a good mission accomplished. But realistically, what I needed to do was win stack. I needed to continue to stack wins and show myself that whether I'm tired, whether I didn't sleep good, whether I had a stressful day at work or a busy day, or I had to travel, or I just, wanted to hang out with my family and friends and I didn't want to do it. When I still do it anyway, I've now created this connection from outside influence does not dictate whether or not I achieve this result. I achieve this result regardless of circumstance. And I've built enough wins of doing that, and I stacked them to the point where now I'm pretty confident I'm going to get to 100 days and 150 days, and we'll see how long it goes. But that win stacking is so critical in that process of Kaizen, and that 1% allows you to get a win. It's not something that is so far. So to the point, to show up at a gym and walk for 2 minutes, you can do that. No matter how out of shape you are, you could go do that. You do 2 minutes today and you do 2.5 minutes tomorrow and 3 minutes the next day. And then maybe you feel a little bit special and you go 5 minutes, then 6, then 10, then 12. And then before you know it, you are working out for that hour and a half. You built up the wins. You have the confidence, you have the continuity, and you have a plan to have longevity, because consistency wins. I mean, we all read the book as a kid, The Tortoise and the Hare, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not who sprints out the gates the fastest. It's really about consistency and doing it every day and demonstrating your ability to do it when you don't want to do it. And I'll end that piece with, I have a personal mantra. I always tell myself, if I don't feel like doing it, I have to do it. If I feel like doing it, good, go do it. And that's it. And so you got to train your brain to the whether you want to or not doesn't matter. You do what you have to do, like brushing your teeth. I don't always want to brush my teeth, but I brush my teeth twice a day, every day. I shower every day. Whether or not I'm like, I'm tired, I just want to go to bed. No, I'm going to shower, because I'm going to stay clean. I have personal hygiene. I've been trained. I tie my shoes every day. I put my socks on, right? Those are things that we no longer think about. I eat, when you create those habits for the rest of the things to take care of your body, like working out, now you're starting to really understand how success principles work. And if you're listening to this and some of this might be like, yeah, whatever. If you don't have the success you want, I didn't create all these things I'm talking about. I've learned them and applied them and fine-tuned them and can articulate them in a way that works for me. But this is what successful people do. The Michael Jordans and Kobe Bryants and LeBron Jameses of the world, the Tom Hanks, the Beyoncés, the top entertainers and athletes, they achieved that level of success because they worked on their craft when they didn't want to. They worked on their craft on the days they didn't feel like it. That's true of all CEOs. That's true of all CMOs. That's true of all CFOs. It's true of all moms and dads. A mom doesn't want to wake up at 3 a.m. and take care of their screaming kid when they haven't slept, but they do it anyway because they don't have a choice, right? That's a great example of doing that same lesson to whatever it is that you want to have growth at.
Yeah, I love this idea of win stacking paired with the concept of, one of our greatest motivations in life is to be consistent with who we think we are. And we get that motivation from those small wins. And it kind of reminded me of this trend that I've realized recently. Tori, that's in charge of my content, every once in a while, she'll be like, hey, what does your day look like? What are these things, the checklist of your day, so I can kind of post them. People can see what your day looks like. And I've noticed, like, I'll send it over to her. And once I send that to her, even the things on there that I wasn't sure whether I was going to do, once she posts that, I felt like, hey, I need to do that stuff now. There's like this higher power at play. But I think, getting to that point where you're taking those baby steps and you're getting those small wins. So you're like, dang, I can do that. It does so much for us, not just with our habits, but with our mentality, where it's like, hey, like, it changes how we view ourselves. And that is one of our greatest motivations. So I think it's such a powerful concept and principle.
And our mind is our greatest tool or our greatest enemy. And you got to train it. It's a muscle. It's got a mind of its own sometimes. And sometimes it's contradictory. You can't grow in your comfort zone, but your brain wants to keep you comfortable. So you've got to teach your brain that we grow when we step outside that comfort zone. You know, I think it was Muhammad Ali had a quote. He didn't count push-ups until it started to hurt. He doesn't care how many he does. He only starts counting once they start to hurt, because that's where he's starting to grow. And it's true with all things. If you can only read for 6 pages right now before you start thinking about other things, then read 6 pages. And then tomorrow read 7. Don't try to read an entire book overnight. Yes, it's a great goal. You should have those aspirations, but that's not a success formula. And that's, again, what I'm talking about with core values. If you look at your core values on the wall in your company and you wrote what you want to one day be, those aren't core values. Those are aspirations. Core values are, no matter what happens tomorrow, what are you going to do? And when everything falls on, when I'm in a big storm and everything's falling on my head, I can assure you, I'm going to try to make friends. I'm going to try to have fun. I'm going to take an immediate decisive action regardless of what the situation is, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to do something. And then I'm going to Kaizen my way to do it. And then as I'm doing that, I'm going to be ready to change if it's the wrong thing or I need to adapt. That's what I'm going to do. That is my blueprint for success. I'm going to do it again and again and again, no matter what it is, whether it's personal, professional, spiritual, or whatever. And that's how it works. And I can stand here and tell you, I've accumulated a lot of success following it, and it's duplicatable by everybody. Because as I think I mentioned to you before, I'm an ordinary guy. I just figured out what extra stuff to get extraordinary results, and that's available for every single person watching this.
I think, having those values is such an important thing, such an important part of success, because the values don't change depending on the scenario, the thing that you're focused on, your goal, relationships. Those things are eternal, right? When we have values like that, it's not something that changes with the economy. It doesn't change even though you have a relative or a friend that does something inconsistent with what you thought they should do. It doesn't change if a business partner takes advantage of you. The values don't, those are immutable. And I think that, Jeff, is why it's so important that, you have this great base, right? Like that people can take from. They can just copy them, or they can take them and make them specific in their lives. But it covers so much. And I've been around enough and I've talked to enough people that it's like, after a while, you start to see patterns. You start to see the same things pop up over and over and over. And I'm not a reinvent the wheel type of guy. I'll take a piece of that. I'll take a piece of that and kind of combine it so it makes sense for me, fits within my lifestyle. But I think it's so cool that you've kind of gone through the different scenarios and mentioned how those 5 core values fit no matter what it is. And I think that's awesome, man.
Well, thank you. I wouldn't be so passionate about it if they didn't work. And that's just what I try to teach my kids. It's what I try to emulate for my friends and my peer groups. That, to your point, look, do people still screw me over? Sure. Do I still have days where I don't achieve all 5 of those perfectly and I'm having a bad day and I'm not making friends or having fun? Yes. Do I have self-doubt where sometimes I need to be pushed to take immediate decisive action? Absolutely. No one's perfect. It's Kaizen. I'm still going to get 1% better, or aim to get 1% better every day. Doesn't always happen, but that's the intent. And you don't make or break your success in a day or in a moment, right? So you want to keep your bad moments to minutes and moments, and make your good opportunities days, weeks, and months, and years. And to do that, to achieve the years, you got to focus on the minutes and moments. And so it's like catching yourself and retraining your own thought. And how do I improve here? And we're all on a personal journey, right? And we all have a different definition of success. And whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, whether you're an employee trying to work your way up an organization, whether you're a stay-at-home parent and you want to be the best parent in the world, if you're not trying to improve and you're just bringing the same version of yourself from yesterday into tomorrow, I can tell you, you're blockbuster, and the world's going to pass you by. You're going to not be successful because others are going to learn from you, right? We learn from Facebooks. We learn from Google. We learn from Tesla. Look at all the electric car companies now coming out with new electric cars to try to beat Tesla. So what does Tesla do? They adapt. They're focusing on charging networks. They're like, okay, we can't own 100% of the electric cars. Let's make money on every car by providing the gas station, aka the charging station, for all of them, right? And Elon is doing that exact same thing. He's figuring out how to change his business to stay relevant and stay atop that industry. And that's what's so important. We all do the same thing in our own world. Whether you're a teacher teaching kids, how do you make the content more consumable for this generation that lives in social media? And so instead of reading a textbook about history, what if you turned it into what looks like Instagram pages and stories and reels? I guarantee you these kids would learn it way more. They would be more engaged because they understand how to consume information in 15 to 30-second tranches of reels. They don't read the way we did when we were, in the 80s and 90s. And so we're not doing that. And I see that in my own kids' curriculum. But that's the whole thing, is they're trying to do what worked yesterday, tomorrow, and it just does not work.
You mentioned the emotions of life, how there's highs and lows. And I was able to meet this guy they call the Iron Cowboy. And I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I know him well. We sponsored when he did his 100 triathlon, or 100 Ironman in 100 days. Everbull was one of his sponsors, and we fed him.
That's incredible. So I ran into him after he did for the people that don't know, what kind of put him on the map was that he did 50 Ironman triathlons in 50 days in 50 different states. So just the traveling, right? I mean, not that there's many people that could do that, but just the traveling. And I remember a lot of stuff that he said kind of stuck out to me. But one of the things he said, Jeff, was that at some point along this journey, which kind of laid the foundation for everything he's been able to do over the last decade or however long it's been, he said that there were high moments and there were low moments, and his goal was to live in the middle, not let himself get too high and not let himself get too low. And I think when we have a set of core values, we have a set of principles, I think that allows us to do that, where it's, hey, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to talk, very positively to myself. But these are the things that don't change. When you first got started, surely you ran into hurdles. There were issues that came up. What did you find worked for you in those early days before you could articulate your core values or these principles that you live by that kind of helped you keep going?
That's a great question. There's always challenges, and I still deal with them today. I mean, I'm working on 2 new companies right now that we're dealing with some things, and it's, like all things, after you've been doing it for a while, it's not as hard to overcome. When I was a very young entrepreneur, fresh into it, my very first company, I just graduated law school and I just quit my job and started my first company. There was a ton of issues. Like, I'll never forget the very first time we ran payroll, my payroll company, for our clients. We gave them fake checks, and we didn't realize that we had to use a special kind of ink in the cartridge. And we thought we just blew the whole company on our very first 2 weeks of business. And what you do this, think about what they taught us as kids when you were in a fire: stop, drop, and roll. And so I tried. Now I can understand how I do it. But what I do is I immediately stop what I'm doing and I assess the situation, like what's going wrong and why. Then drop, meaning you stopped, now drop. So you're changing your level. So if I was sprinting to go deliver bad checks, and all of a sudden I'm finding out they're wrong, I'm going to stop doing that. And now I'm going to immediately drop into doing something new, and I'm going to roll into whatever the next plan is. And that's kind of the foundation to taking immediate decisive action. But that's what you need to do when things are going wrong. So if you're having a bad day, you need to change something. You need to break that sequence. And so maybe go for a walk. Take immediate decisive action to do something physical, get fresh air, go for a walk, listen to your favorite song, have a pity party, jump in the pool, do a workout, whatever it is that works for you. In business, for me, what keeps me going is my why is bigger than my what. So I don't care what I do today. I'm willing to do a bunch of things I don't want to do. Like, I don't have to want to do something or like to do it. Like, I've removed that as a requirement. And that's where a lot of us are stuck. For us to work out, we have to feel like it. We have to want to.
Yeah.
For us to read that book, we're going to have to feel like it. Like, I have to be engaged. I have to be ready to sit down and listen to that. Instead, we watch Netflix, right? When you remove, or you learn how to remove that requirement of you needing to want to, feel like it, etc., and you understand that you have to do it. It's like breathing. You have to improve. You have to, because you have a goal, and that goal is so crystal clear in your mind, whatever it is. I want to learn this new language. I have to read the book. I have to take the videos. I have to. Want to is cool. If you want to do it, great. But when you remove the have to, or to feel like it to do it, all of a sudden, then those bad days, they just become part of that process. And then you understand that they are part of the process. You don't look forward to them, but you kind of start to, because you realize you can conquer that hill. So it almost becomes a conquerable challenge to say, you know what, when the world starts punching me in the face at work, watch what happens. I'm going to punch back, right? I'm going to overcome that. And you can kind of gamify it a little bit. Obviously, when financial stresses get thrown onto that, because you may or may not be able to make payroll, or you may or may not survive, nobody wants to gamify that. That's a serious situation. You have to just fight through it. So for me, it was literally, now I understand that I removed the necessity to feel like it or to want to as a byproduct or prerequisite to doing it.
Love it, man. This has been fantastic. There's so much in here that for anybody that's starting a business, that's trying to build generational wealth for their families, it really starts with discovering your principles and changing how you view the world. And that's what I love about these principles that you live by. A lot of it is just how you view yourself, how you view the world. And that's just incredible place to start from. If people have questions about this, they want to learn more about what you're doing, Jeff, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
You can obviously send me a message on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or any social media platform at Fenster Jeff. My new podcast, The Jeff Fenster Show, brought to you by entrepreneur.com, is now live. So you can see it on any major platform, entrepreneur.com or YouTube. I'm trying to build that YouTube following. So if you're a YouTuber, come on, join us as we try to get 4 new subscribers today. And you can also send me an email, jeff@everbowl.com, or connect@jefffenster.com, or go to my website, jefffenster.com. And I look forward to connecting with all of you.
Cool. Well, thanks for the conversation, Jeff. It's always enlightening. I look forward to the next one.
Thank you so much for having me, Allan. It's like I said, it's an honor and privilege to come on your show again, and love what you're doing. Love the conversations you're having with guests besides me. I'm a big fan of you, and thank you for what you're bringing to the entrepreneurship community.
All right. Appreciate that, brother.
If you have enjoyed today's podcast, please leave us a rating. And for daily inspiration and business tips, follow Allan on Instagram. Until next time, remember, we build the future one entrepreneur at a time.